All right, everybody, you're listening to 103.9 FM WOZO. This is Autumn. It's the Knox Community Well Be show. It's a regular Saturday, and I've got a really special. I haven't stopped talking to him since he walked in the studio. August, I want you to pronounce your last name so I don't pronounce it incorrectly, but I'll let you do that in just a minute. I do want to say I owe August an apology because I put Strange Films in the Instagram tag and I got it wrong. So I'm going to let him tell you what the right thing is. We've corrected it since then. August had to correct it on the WOZO site. Anybody that knows me shouldn't be surprised by that, but I do apologize. And we're going to get all that corrected, and he's going to let you know where you can find out more information on him. But anyway, I'm going to let you introduce yourself right now. I'm going to try to be quiet because everybody knows how excited I get about film stuff. So, all right, here we go.
All right, cool. Thank you. Thank you so much. My name is August Aguilar. And it's no worries about the Instagram. That's it's actually really easy to mistake because the handle on Instagram is @strangefilms_, and there's someone else that's @strangefilms without the underscore. Yeah, something like that. So there's actually a couple different Strange Film stuff out there. A lot, posting random weird stuff about films and calling themselves Strange Films and stuff like that. But we are @strangefilms_. And but thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and I've heard a lot about you and the show, and I'm glad to be here in Knoxville doing it. So
I'm so excited because I told August I had heard about you. We have heard about you, and you didn't know that. So because we know because I think people don't think about. Lots of musicians want filmmakers because of the video or the videography that they do. So we're aware of who's out there. And also just because we've got some really, this station, I said to August, the station was founded by anarchists, and they do some really anarchist-like things in the studio. The studio looks like an anarchist studio. So you got a multimedia production company. Yeah. And part of that is Strange Films, or is all of that Strange Films?
It's kind of a mixed bag, to be honest. Back in 2016, I really just started with a simple blog. It was more just kind of start getting an outlet of creativity out there, and that was just writing and whatnot. And I ended up calling that El Burrito Blog. And El Burrito Blog is just the name got from I love burritos. I'm half Hispanic, and it's like all your entertainment wrapped in one bite, pretty much. So it started with a blog, and then around the same time, it ended up being there was a Knoxville Horror Film Festival coming up in the fall of 2016, and I had just moved to Knoxville probably 6 months prior to that. So I saw the Knoxville Horror Film Festival. I thought it was really cool, and I was like, well, maybe I should try to write a horror film and see if I can get into it. And I just kind of started talking ideas with my father, Frank Aguilar. He lives in Philadelphia, and we ended up coming up with the story There's Something Down the Road. And I ended up shooting the film. It got into the Horror Film Festival, and ever since then, Strange Films is kind of what I call it, the production name of it. And we just had a lot of fun, and then we just ended up kind of going with it. And it started with just the films, and then the writing, collaborating with musicians and artists and other filmmakers. But then it ended up being I'm constantly invested with musicians and artists and stuff like that. So Strange Films ended up being a project to work with those different people and do different mediums of that creativity. And then now, we're actually writing comic books and stuff like that. So it's a mixed bag of a lot of different things, and I really like that because I don't like to limit myself with just one field. And films are kind of hard to make every once in a while, so it's I don't want to just keep putting video stuff out there. I want to kind of dabble in all kinds of different things. So that's kind of how it all is, and Strange Films is a wide spectrum of different entertainment.
Okay, so before we get into what interests you first about film and second about comic books, we talked a few minutes before we went on air. Sorry, folks, it is roasting in here, and it's wow. You came from Philadelphia, yes. And you came in 2016. So what about Knoxville? You can answer that or you don't have to answer that, but I'm going to ask how you ended up in Knoxville.
Yeah, so actually, I was born in Philadelphia, and I only lived there for a few years when I was a kid. So I moved down to Tennessee, like Kingsport, Tennessee, when I was 5 years old.
Okay.
So I actually lived in Tennessee most of my life, but my dad still lives up in Philly. So I've been to Philly, 3, 4, 5 times out of the year consistently all through my life. And then after I turned 18, I kind of just started going by myself and hanging out up there, for a couple weeks at a time. So Philly is kind of like my home away from home, and it is my natural hometown. But I moved to Knoxville in 2016 from the Tri-City area in Tennessee for the news. I worked in the news for 2 years. So I worked at Channel 9 in Kingsport, and then I worked at Channel 6 here in Knoxville. Yeah, so that's kind of how it got me here to Knoxville. And that experience was the best and worst experience of my life as far as everything that happened with that. But it definitely, I'm looking at everything and how it all played out. Like, it's super cool to kind of see how I got here and what happened during those events that inspired me to just start doing my own creative thing, So, but I'm still in Philly like 3, 4, 5 times out of the year doing projects, hanging out with my dad, and he comes down here and stuff like that. But so that's kind of where that started from.
Okay, that makes sense. I was just saying to you earlier too, because I lived in Baltimore, so I used to go up to Philly for concerts. It's such a great city. It's such a great city. I agree. Like, it's kind of like it's like being in Knoxville, being in this area of the world, and then being up there is like a little bit of the best of both worlds in some respects. So I get the fact that when you work for major news, because I used to do communications and PR and public affairs for the Scottish government, and there is some that sounds really fancy, but it's it also sounds really fancy to people to work for major news outlets, and we know what it's really like. There's a lot of great stuff about it, but there's a lot of not creative stuff about it, and there's a lot that you don't get to do. So it makes sense to me that you wanted that creative outlet and you started to do that. Were you trained with camera work before is that what you were doing before?
I actually, really my interest with cameras and like films and stuff like that started when I was a kid, like having home cameras and making home movies and stuff like that. But I really learned like all my technical skill and kind of how to write screenplays and like just editing and stuff like that. I learned all that in college at ETSU in Johnson City. And it was that time frame where I did learn a lot and did student films and whatnot, but like I took 2 years after I got out of school and I really didn't do anything. I didn't have gear, and I didn't have any opportunities. I didn't even create my own opportunities. I was kind of trying to figure out a lot of stuff in my life at that point, and then of course the news kept me busy. So the news I definitely had a knowledge of like how to use cameras and how to edit and stuff like that. But, there's always like their way of teaching you how to do certain things and stuff like that. So I think one of the most frustrating things was that I didn't have a creative outlet in the news. It was just more, what's best for the show and how to film news segments and how to edit for segments and stuff like that. And being just stuck in a little cubicle box for 9 hours drove me crazy a little bit. But yeah, there's a lot of good things, a lot of bad things that, I don't knock on the news for, because it is a respectable field, and I respect everyone who is in it. But the passion for the news wasn't quite for me. Right. So, yeah.
I get that. I think a lot of people ask me why I came to WOZO, and I think it's because we get to do whatever we want at this station, which is not the case elsewhere. So I think I talked to someone who came into radio through another channel and was working for some of the more commercial stations, and they left because once you're creative, you're always a creative. So it's hard to be in that, and the editing process is way more tedious than people think it is. So, yes. All right. So you started. What gave you the idea that you wanted to just kind of do, not what gave you the idea, when you started with the idea that you wanted to go off and do your own thing, what process did you go through? Because I always try to think about people that are just starting out. And the nature is we have this dream of things we want to do, but then we get into the business of it, and we're not quite aware of how to manage that or what it really entails. And I think you've managed to do it very successfully in a very short period of time. So, I mean, maybe I should back up and say you're an award-winning.
Yeah, technically.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are. Yes,
Yeah.
This is not just a thing. This is your serious life. So, so you in that short period of time have done that, and that's extraordinary. I'm here to tell you, as a person who works with lots of filmmakers in my field, and I've had some filmmakers who've done the opposite. Like I talked, there's a filmmaker, Dr. Melinda Lowry. She's over in North Carolina. She went the opposite direction. She was a filmmaker, Emmy Award winning, and left it to become a professor, which to me it just boggles the mind. Like, but that's what she wanted to do. So I just wonder if you talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I guess starting with kind of how everything started coming together, and this is actually, I don't tell a lot of people this because a lot of people don't take the time to ask, the personal side of it. But so only really my close friends and family knows. But like, essentially, back in 2016, whenever I was editing and just consistently working overnights at the station, and it was one of those things where I was up at like 3 a.m. and working until like 2 p.m. every night, and I had like hardly no sleep. And I was kind of going through a lot of different personal things, and I was kind of just in my own head, lost a lot. And one of the hardest things about the news, the truth about a lot of, when you're looking at the news and you're working in the news, you see that there's actually a lot of ugly things going on in the world, especially here in Knoxville sometimes. And, when you see that and you work with it and you actually talk to people and you deal with it, and then you're filming that stuff and using it to put it for not something, not creative and not inspiring, and honestly it just it hurt my heart a lot. It hurt it hurt a lot of different emotions all at once, and I was kind of getting in a very depressed state of mind. So seeing a lot of this ugliness in the world kind of made me just start seeing, kind of trying to look for the beauty in the world, like, the little things in the world. I mean, like even the smallest thing from nature to connecting with a friend, or, seeing a random act of kindness from somebody, or, then seeing the creative things and seeing what makes those entertainment things so beautiful is because it takes something away like that's going on and gives someone excitement, or maybe they resonate with feeling with, or something like that. So I kind of just started thinking about what can I do to make this world a little bit more beautiful, and what can I do to make myself feel better and move forward and do positive things for people and whatnot. And that's kind of where that mentality started from. And then the question came, am I doing the news for myself, and am I happy with this, or am I doing this for the idea, what I think I'm supposed to be doing, as far as career or life or whatever? Or am I doing this for people because they think I should be doing this? It's like, and I was like, no, I'm not happy here. I don't want to do this. I want to do something that makes me fulfilled. And that's kind of where I was like, I'm just going to leave and go do some job that pays the bills, and start working on my own fulfillment. And it just started. I mean, like 2016 to mid 2017 was kind of like trying to figure out what am I doing. But once we did the film Center City in 2017, like after that, everything just started coming left and right, and I still find new purpose every day, as far as what I'm trying to do and who I work with and what I try to teach or, hear and listen to. So that's kind of how all that started, I guess. Very personal journey for me.
I love that. I love that story. I told August that I always talk about having cancer and watching my body like change and get bigger and bigger and bigger when I was really little. And then also just the different things, that component parts that come with, like, you've got life again, and you do want to look at the beauty and the creative aspects of what you've got, because life is so short. And I love that you were willing to take that risk. I think so many of us, especially in my generation or older, there was a lot of pressure not to do that. I love that you did that. I love that you we're able to see. I think you're right. People don't see the dark side. In the communications field, we see lots of darkness, and we don't get to report lots of darkness. And so the fact that you were true to yourself and it's turned into this beautiful thing. I'm going to shut up and let you talk because I will keep talking. I'm so excited about that.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, thank you. It's cool when I do get to tell people that and they see it for what it is. A lot of people don't really... some people still don't get a lot of things that I try to talk about because sometimes I'm real ambitious. I'm really a philosopher. Sometimes I just start talking about, life and stuff like that. But I think that one of the most important things is, we can count our blessings and see the little things in life. And, I'm lucky to even be right here at this moment with you. And I'm lucky to be, have health and friends and, family. Everything could just be so much worse for anybody. And I just think that I might as well do the best I can in this life with the time I've got and do what I want to do that makes me happy and hopefully make other people inspired and happy too. And I think that's one of the coolest things about it and probably one of the most biggest thing that drives me to keep doing it. But yeah, it is still a personal journey. I'm still going through, my own things and trying to figure it out day by day and whatnot. But yeah.
It's working, I can tell you. So when you put together Strange Films, when you thought about the types of things you wanted to do with Strange Films and the types of films you wanted to make and the comic books, because we're going to talk about that in a minute, did you have an idea? Were you looking at genre? Did you just think, I want to make what I want to make? Like I want to creatively put out what I want to put out, and rather than I'm going to make this type of film or do this kind of production video or...
Yeah, that's kind of actually evolved a little bit too. The very first Strange film was There's Something Down the Road. It was designated to be a horror film for the Horror Film Festival. The next film we did was Center City, and that's a black and white, like, Philadelphia film. It's like an original jazz music. It's a film noir. It's like a crime story. It's it's not like horror, but there is something bizarre and weird going on in it. And then, I did another horror film, but then I did a drama film, an indie drama film called The Sound of You and Me, which ended up being one of my all-time favorite films I've done. But I think Strange Films necessarily, it doesn't have to be a horror film, but I think there has to be something, anything that's under that banner kind of has to have something a little weird or bizarre about it. But that's why I like doing stuff under El Burrito Blog, because that kind of makes me branch out, do like music projects and experimental projects, documentaries and like interviews and just stuff like that as well. And then of course I run under my own name just because I don't want to be labeled as like the Wes Craven of only doing horror films. It's like, I think it's cool. I love horror and I'm going to keep doing them, but my range, I want it to be a spectrum everywhere. I don't want it to be just limited to one genre. Strange Films does have a lot more horror than probably most of other stuff, but it's not necessarily like I want to limit to just the horror genre. I definitely love indies and dramas and comedies, and we have plans to do more productions than that and taking a break from horror. But I think as long as it's fun, as long as it's a good story, some depth to it, I think that's where we aim to tell our stories. And I lost my train of thought on that. But yeah.
How many do you have a group of people that you work with?
Currently here in Knoxville, I have a few people that I really work with. My two best friends here in Knoxville that are always working on my productions and stuff though is Blake Hall and John Queener. They're two other filmmakers and a couple guys, creative guys themselves, and but they're usually always attached with me doing these productions now. But I didn't really recruit them and get them with me until like beginning of 2018. So usually though, if I don't have anyone at hand, I'm just a one-man band. I do my own audio, my lighting, my directing, and film, and all that stuff. In Philly, we actually finally started to put together a little crew now too, so that's cool. We just shot Happy Mother's Day a couple months ago, and that was like the best crew in production I've ever had and most professional set I've ever had. So like and it was cool because now I can like call those people and have them come back to my sets and stuff like that when I'm up there in Philly. But I have met a lot of new people here in Knoxville, and people have been interested in my work, and they want to be a part of Strange Films and my productions and stuff. So I do have like a call list now that I can refer to here, which is great. I used to not have that, and I'm not used to having it. So it makes a world of a difference now that having those, because it allows me to focus a little bit better on my own strengths. Because there's some things that I can do all by myself, but I'm not the best at all those fields.
Before we go any further, will you tell folks how they can find out all about Strange Films, about you, about El Burrito Blog, and then can we talk about El Burrito Blog for a minute? Sure. And then we'll figure out if we want to play a song or if we want to talk a little bit more about things like comic books, because I'm super stoked about that. So,
so you can find Strange Films. Our Facebook has our best fan base right now. Strange Films Now. It's like facebook.com/Strange Films Now. We're on YouTube, Strange Films. We're on Instagram at Strange Films _. It's okay. At Strange Films _. Now, look for the logo. It's got trees. It's got like a road. It says Strange Films on it. It's like purple and red. That's the logo you look out for. But that's kind of where you can find us on social media. All of our films are on YouTube. We do have a website, elburritoblog.com at the moment. I'm about to make another website for Strange Films, but you can see our Strange Films content on that website as well. And then a lot of people look just me up, like August Aguilar. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at august.aguilar, and YouTube, August Aguilar. I think you can even Google me now, which is kind of cool. So, as long as you look up either me or Strange Films, you'll find all my work and everything about it. So
tell us... Tell us about El Burrito Blog, because you mentioned it a little bit, and you said that's where you can talk a little bit about other things than the filmmaking particularly.
Yeah. El Burrito Blog is kind of my secondary multimedia outlet. I do a lot of different things with that, and that's kind of... It's really cool. I really like, as far as the different genres I can approach myself in with that, because I want to do a documentary series with it. I like to interview people on that. We had a podcast show at one point. What we mainly work with is musicians there, which is a lot of fun because I'm just as passionate about music as film. So it's living with experiences with musicians through that channel is thrilling for me. I've done I think a dozen music videos now. We've done live sessions. We've filmed 40-minute concerts, three camera angles. We've featured musicians all around the world on El Burrito Blog. We do write-ups and press releases and publishing. And I recently did physical magazines and featuring local musicians and artists and filmmakers. And we had the Open Chord sponsor that third issue and and they picked up 60 copies and had it all there. Yeah, so stuff like that is a lot of fun for me because I can just do whatever I want and I can kind of pick and choose where I want to go. And then, but sometimes I'll end up with 10 different projects. I'm like, oh my gosh. So but right now, El Burrito Blog is about to go through a little bit of a revamp and redesign. The website is kind of a little jumbled right now and whatnot. So Blake, my associate and film production partner, he's going to be kind of one of the new editor-in-chief of El Burrito Blog. So because I've got my hands full with Strange Films at the moment. Strange Films has kind of bloomed into this thing that I'm doing a lot more projects with that now. So El Burrito Blog is just such another beast. I've got to have someone else help me out with it. So we're going to, probably in November, you're going to start seeing a lot new social media revamp with it, a new website, republishing a lot of the old content we've done, and then start doing a lot more of the newer projects that we want to do. And a lot of that, one of the biggest things I'm trying to do here is that documentary series in Knoxville, and that's going to be hopefully talking with creators and individuals who are doing like kind of what you're doing as far as like community-based stuff, and also who's creative and local businesses and just stuff like that. We want to showcase them and have a show about it and talk to them and stuff like that. So Burrito Blog is cool. It's a lot of fun. I don't think people take it as serious because it's a burrito though. So that's kind of questioned myself, a lot about. I'm like, should I change the name? But at this point, it's been up for like 3 years, and we do have like a lot of traffic from all around the world, which is super cool. And I think if it helps musicians and other creators get their work out there and showcase it around, and I think that gives me more fulfillment than anything. So yeah, as long as it's working as far as some sort of outlet goes, then I'll keep it running and whatnot. But it's definitely a different pace and style than Strange Films. Strange Films is a lot more serious storytelling and endeavors with that.
Well, there's so much I want to ask you. So I'll ask you if do you want to play a song, or do you want to talk a little more? It's totally up to you. I told August, I always tell everyone this is their hour. So sometimes we play music because people have a lull, but sometimes we've got a lot to talk about. We never play anything.
Keep talking a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll do a song and
towards the
near the end.
Near the end. That sounds good, because I think that's usually what happens with me is I could talk forever because I get so excited.
Sometimes is that I talk too much. So like I'm even asking myself like, did you even answer the question that she? So like, yeah. So I tend to go on and on and on sometimes.
That's the whole point.
But it's like I'm just trying to make sure I got every detail.
Yeah. No, that's the reason I like this. A lot of people, I have people say to me, you go on other shows and they're great, but they try to get as many people in a show as they can. And for me, this is to showcase one person at a time. Or unless I've got a bunch of bands that are doing a show and they've been here before, and we'll go through them all to introduce them. But anyway, all right. So, and when you do the revamp of El Burrito, like, come back and let's talk about that. Yeah. So, okay. The thing, and I mentioned this earlier, the thing that is stunning to me is just the sheer amount that you have accomplished in such a short period of time. Like, and I think that's it. When you know how to do media is stunning. Like, for someone like me who's very old school, came up in the day when it was not, social media didn't even exist when I was probably your age. And so for us, it's like always catching up. But you all are always like ahead of you're setting the standard. That's exciting for me because it's like I know I'm never going to be able to keep up with that. But you have that understanding that you needed to branch out and that you can't just, you could do film and you may do that. That's what you end up doing. But like I love the fact that you all are doing so many different things and also tapping into the music community, because the music community here is so big. For such a small town. Mm-hmm. Every time I interview a new musician, I can't believe there are probably 10,000 more out there. Mm-hmm. So, but filmmakers are not, there's a core group here, I'm assuming, but not as prolific as, so I wonder what it's like doing what you do in this town, in this community.
Yeah, it's interesting. There is a huge creative scene here in Knoxville. That's one of the reasons why I love it so much. And that's for film, music, and art, which is the three fields that I want to involve myself in fully. Musicians, I'll never be able to work with every musician. There's just so many. I do have a good few that I love to work with. Mass Driver is my number one band that I work with. I joke with them, I'm like the fourth unofficial member of the band, because we've done numerous projects together and whatnot. But films, there's a good film group here. There's a lot of people in the scene that have been here for years, way longer than I've ever been here and even doing films. The whole Central Cinema guys and all the guys who run those film festivals and the shop and stuff like that. Even just that scene is a lot. So, but for me, I feel like it's kind of interesting because I might be one of the only people who are doing a bunch of different things at once, and because I think a lot of people just stick with their one genre. And I think for me, like, as much as I love films, I just love so many other things. Like, I can't just keep myself occupied with just films, you know. I don't want to just keep every week like, oh, I've got a new film out, guys, you know. It's like I want to just do different things and all across the spectrum and whatnot. So it is interesting, but I like kind of what you said. I want to hit those different audiences. Like, that's why we did the comic book, because hitting the readers was a big, like, it was a chance. Because I thought, like, if we could get, you know, a comic book made and start getting into conventions or comic book shops and having readers read about strange films, you know, then they could watch our films. And it worked. It really, really worked, and I'm so happy about it, because we adapted our film into the comic book. So it's the Cindy's Birthday Party is our first comic book that's out there, and you know, it was our most popular horror film that we did last year. Ended up being featured on some horror websites and whatnot. We were out in Long Beach, California, screening it, and it was in Baltimore and Detroit and a few other cities. And it just ended up being like such a popular film. You know, I'm inspired by, like, you know, pop culture and comic books and 80s and 70s, 80s horror and stuff. I just thought it'd be cool. Me and my brother were talking about it one day last year, and we were saying, like, what Strange Films is really like a comic book, you know? Like, we've got larger-than-life stories that are inspired by comic books. Like, why don't we make a comic book? And that's kind of where that process started. But fast forward, like, 8 months later, I had been working with my buddy Tim Spravero. He's based out in New Jersey, but he's done the logos for Strange Films and everything. Oh, thank you. And he does comic books, so we were working together kind of low key, just coming up with some pages together based off Cindy's Birthday Party. And then you know, halfway through the book, I finally put it on Kickstarter to see if I could finish it, and it got overfunded in 6 days. Yeah, and it was super, just unbelievable. Like, it was really, really crazy just to see that we had that much support, you know, going towards it. So that really expedited the process. We got it done, printed, and shipped to me within 2 months after that. And I did Fanboy Expo back in 2016, or no, I'm sorry, I was thinking out loud now. In July of this year. And then we did a comic book event release party in Philadelphia, because we did a variant cover featuring Ontario Street Comics in Philly, which is voted #1 best comic shop in the city. And if you're familiar with M. Night Shyamalan and the films Unbreakable and Glass, he did scenes at that comic book shop. So it's really, like, if you go in that shop, it's very infamous there. Like, he's got the wheelchair what Samuel L. Jackson was in. He's got the comic prop and the posters and stuff. So, and we're good friends with the owner, the captain. So we did a variant cover featuring that shop and the captain. We did a release party back in August when I was up there, and we sold out every book. We sold out every book, and actually today, fun fact that the shop just restocked about 35 issues of that book today. So, but yeah, it was really surreal. People showed up in our Strange Films T-shirts and brought me fan art, and, like, you know, was wanting my autograph, and, you know, just. I never experienced anything like that before, so it was super, like, surreal and cool and very humbling. But the comic book is great. I mean, because just from that whole process, from the Kickstarter to getting the book to Fanboy to Ontario, we ended up gaining like 500-600 new followers, and like now those people who were just comic book fans are now watching Strange Films, and that theory worked. So it's super cool, and excited to say we're already working on book #2 right now. So.
You're just humble. I mean, I'm looking at you like there are people that wait their whole lives to do this stuff, and you just got it. Like, you know, I think sometimes people just have it, and you figure that out. Like, you just have it, and I get to praise you because that's my job, and also because, like, people don't praise themselves around here, but I spend a lot of time doing that. So you should be really proud of yourself.
You.
I mean, it's extraordinary, and the fact that you have such good people to work with that help you put that vision together, and you just put the work in. So it's a lot, but you put the work in. I just think it's extraordinary. So and I think that the fact that you didn't know that people know about you, I'm like, August, yes, of
Yeah.
course. Like, what? You're all over the place. So, anyway, so you're doing all of that. And so one of the things I'd really love for you to do is tell people the names of your films or the names of, like, how they can find. Are you in comic shops here yet? Yeah. So tell people where they can go to get that too.
Cool. So I'll answer both of those questions, because something really cool about Strange Films that a lot of people don't know is something I'd like to explain. But the comic book, yes. Right now, the only exclusive comic shop you can find Cindy's Birthday Party is Nirvana Comics in Knoxville. That's on Kingston Pike towards the west side of Knoxville. I think they've, I gave them like 10 issues, but I think they're still there. Yeah, you can, if they're there, you can just go in, ask for it. I think I told them if anyone just made any purchase towards the store, let them get a copy of the book for free, because, I'd rather have people have the book in their hand and kind of experience Strange Films and experience Cindy's Birthday Party versus, trying to make like $3 or whatever. So yeah, it's in Nirvana Comics. I'm gonna actually shop the book around a little bit more, probably within the next month or so, to see if I can get it picked up in a couple other different places. But so it's in Nirvana Comics here in Knoxville and Ontario Street Comics in Philadelphia. And it's just super cool to even see my book on a shelf in there. Like, I was like, when they picked it up, and they were super supportive about it, and they were really excited to have it in there. And I just thought that was awesome, because never in my life I ever thought I'd even make a comic book. I grew up reading them. I grew up having a huge collection of them, but never in my life I just thought I'd make one, and seeing it in my hands and seeing it on someone's shelf in the store and people smiling and wanting me to autograph it, I just think it's just the most surrealist thing. Like, it's just awesome. So Strange Films, so one thing I really like to explain about Strange Films is it's not just me putting out random films. It's like I'm trying to make an overall like arc of films that are all connected. It's kind of like the Marvel universe, like this Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's a Strange Films Cinematic Universe. So it's like we're all connected. It's all like a shared universe of films, and most of the films are like sequels and series. So we started with There's Something Down the Road, which features the Stranger as like the title villain character, kind of introducing him and also introducing us. It's my first film, especially 2 years after being in school and trying to figure out how to make a film again. It's very like indie, I guess. But that started then. Then we did Center City, which is our film noir, original jazz music in Philly. Which ended up being an award-winning film, Best Drama. Well, it's and even that, it's still just like, oh.
That's my job. I'll prop that up.
Thank you. But then we did a film called Passenger, which is a monster film, very highly inspired by John Carpenter. And that ends up being a direct sequel to There's Something Down the Road. Now, one of the things I want to do when I put these films out is I also want them to be standalones. Like, I don't want you watching Passenger and not understanding anything that's going on because you didn't watch There's Something Down the Road. So I really try to write and shoot the movies where it's like it's its own story. But if you watch There's Something Down the Road, you're going to be like, oh, that's super cool. It tied into that film. So that was the idea of that. We ended up doing another film called Butch, which is set right after Center City. Center City ended up just becoming a whole series. We've got 4 films made in the Center City series, and we just started shooting the 5th one, Center City 2. So right now, the series of Center City is Center City, Butch, The Woman, The Driver, and then Center City 2. Center City is the main one. Butch is set like a few days after Center City. The Woman is a prequel set the day of Center City. The Driver is set 2 weeks after Center City. And then Center City 2 is just going to wrap it all up. And those 3 side spin-off films are kind of just getting a lot of that background information of why Center City happened and what's about to happen, and introducing some key characters and the villains of the series and stuff like that. So, but that ended up just being a whole really inspiring thing in Philly. We've got a lot of new fan base from there, featured on the Philadelphia Film Society website, screenings all around Philly. It's just a full-on Philly film, and I love it. We just say it's like our Mona Lisa right now. But so we got the Center City series, and then going back to the other films, we've got a film called My Good Neighbor, which is a collaboration effort with a indie film website called Cinema Slice, and Nick White runs that. He's based out in Ohio, but he reached out to me like 2017 or 18 and liked my work and stuff, so he wanted me to make a film for his Slice of Fright series, which is like just a horror anthology series. So I made this film called My Good Neighbor with him, with my brother and Blake, and we just it's a 3 to 4 minute short, but it's just a fun little, we shot it in 2 hours and edited it. So but we did that, and then we did Cindy's Birthday Party, and then we did a film called Subject earlier this year, and that ended up being an award-winning film as well, best editing. And then we just got done shooting Happy Mother's Day, and that's gearing up to release in public, premiered at the Knoxville Horror Film Festival in 2 weeks. And that is a sequel to Cindy's Birthday Party, set 10 years later. So it's a lot.
It's I was thinking you were gonna say, oh, we've done one or two a year maybe, but no, you've done like, I'm not surprised. Anyway. All right.
Mother's Day is our 10th production.
10th production in 3 years.
Yes. Yeah.
3 years, 10th production, and that's not including everything else.
Oh no, not at all. That's if you count the dozen music videos I've done, and then the live videos for musicians. The couple, I think we did a 5-part documentary series in Philly with George Marano. We did the podcast show and the Unwrapped sessions with Burrito Blog, which are acoustic sessions, kind of inspired by like those AOL and audio tree sessions and stuff like that. So yeah, there's just numerous other side projects, and the comic book and the magazine and stuff.
Okay, so I'm just sitting here looking at August because I'm like, I'm so proud that I'm doing 2 radio shows a week and my PhD, and I've done this little filming of the WOZO studio. I'm like, that's what it takes though to make it in the business. You figure, you just do it. You don't just sit on your laurels. You really work your what off, and you're constantly coming up with ways to connect it all in, which is a brilliant idea. That's a brilliant idea. So, all right. So the thing I want to ask you now, tell people one more time how they can find out more information about you.
Yeah. So you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/strangefilmsnow, Instagram @strangefilms_. We can find us on YouTube, Strange Films. Look for that logo. It's the trees, purple and red colors. Strange Films, it says on it. We need more subscribers, so please help us out there. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube as well. You can just type in my name, August Aguilar, Aguilar. I'm on Twitter @FilmBurrito, but I don't really tweet a lot anymore. So, but yeah, definitely we're out there in numerous ways. LBurritoblog.com is where you can find a lot of our other fun media stuff that we do on the side.
Okay, so you got the Knoxville Horror Festival coming up in 2 weeks, since you're going to premiere at. Can you tell me, when you were growing up, like when you were thinking and already doing some of this film work, and then you knew that you wanted to do all this other stuff, did you have people that were inspiring you, or people that were encouraging you along to do this?
Well, it's one of those things where I remember being like a kid and saying I wanted to make movies, and I always had like really supportive parents and a good, home life and friends and stuff. But like, I guess I wasn't expressing enough that I wanted to do something like as serious, and no one knew that I was serious about doing it. So it was one of those dreams that just kind of kept coming in and out of my life. I remember being like 15 and like my first like girlfriend at the time asked what I wanted to do when I grew up, and I said I wanted to be a director, a filmmaker, and she said that was a pipe dream. So I stopped dreaming of it for like 3 years. Wow. So yeah. Plot twists. But so stuff like that. It wasn't anything that I was constantly being told you should do that, but it wasn't something I also had enough courage in me to kind of say I want to do that. I think it really wasn't until like that 2016 era that I just started getting inspired by different things I saw and my personal experiences, and really just a big change in perception in life that kind of just got me going with it. I will say one of the best things that ever inspired me to do what I'm doing now is Jim Carrey. There's a video on YouTube called Dream Up a Good Life, and it's just like this, it's snippets from his speech. I think he did like at Harvard or a college or something. He's speaking to the graduating class, and it's a really long, like 30-40 minute speech that he does, but it's a really, really great speech. But someone edited a lot of those key things that he said in like a 3-minute video featuring just clips of his movies and stuff like that. But I'm telling you, like, I remember like finding that video randomly like 4 a.m. one night at the station, and when I heard it, something just clicked inside me, and it just told me, I woke up and just kind of saw where I was at and what I really wanted to do. But because that video is very inspiring, it kind of just tells you, you might as well take a chance on doing something you love, and that the best currency there is the value, the effect you have on others, and stuff like that. So a lot of those things in that video really got me inspired, and now I get more inspired just by seeing people that were in my life and still in my life, and when I meet new people, I'm constantly inspired now by everybody, and the family I have and the friends I have and stuff like that. So
that's brilliant to hear. So folks, go look that up because it might inspire you too. All right, so we've got probably another. Oh man, we got 14 minutes. We're doing good. So I just want to think about for just a few minutes, like what you want your future to look like. I mean, not that you have time to breathe at the moment, but that's a beautiful thing because you're creating your future now. But like, what would you hope to be doing more of in 5 or 10 years?
So my aspirations at the moment for the next, probably within 5 years, is I want to definitely keep doing films. I think that's probably, now it's probably just going to be always embedded in me. I definitely still want to work with musicians and do these side projects and whatnot. But I think as far as like a larger scope of things, the biggest thing I want to do is open up a space for people, especially here in Knoxville. Like I think I'm pretty rooted here now, and I want to be here. But I want to open up a venue and a space. If you want to, have food and stuff like that too. But like I definitely want to open up a space for a community center for people of all ages, especially for young adults and high school students, and then creative people that are around here, but maybe they may not necessarily know that they are welcome to do stuff like that. And to put context into that is basically I want to do a space where it's like it's a production house where I'm still doing my own productions and whatnot, but it's a collaborative production house as well. So we're inviting people to constantly come in, and we produce their projects, or they share and work on our projects. It's a music venue where we're constantly putting on music shows. We can do film festivals and screenings there. It's an art gallery. It's a food and beverage area where we can hang out. It's a lounge. And one of the other biggest things I want to do with that space is having some sort of like support group and like I guess workshop and stuff like that. Where we have like high school students who have no idea what they want to do with their lives, or they're afraid to go to college, or they can't go to college or something like that. but they're inspired by creative things and they want to explore these things, but they don't have maybe someone at home or a friend that, says to go do it. Well, maybe we can provide a space that can teach people how to do some creative things and inspire people to do it and show them how, that you can do anything. And same thing for like supporting people that are already out there, my age, older than me, younger than me. I think one of the biggest things that a lot of people don't like to talk about is that everyone's got personal things going on in their lives that sometimes you need to talk to someone about. So you're not just trapped in your own head. And I think it'd be great to have that space, a mutual setting with anybody, welcoming, and just talk, and make sure that everyone is known that they're important, regardless of how much you've accomplished or what you're doing. Life is life, but we're all here and we can support each other and whatnot. And we can create together, or you can at least hang out or whatever you feel comfortable with. I think just having like a support group to be able to talk to people and have people feel safe and have people also just come and just relax or just hang out. And then we're always constantly booting on our own shows and inviting people to do shows there. I think that'd just be a really, really fun space I'd love to do here in Knoxville, because I know we've got the scene to do it. We've got the right people here I think that would really enjoy that, and could maybe go a long way, especially, like I said, for the younger people that are coming up and not knowing what to do or how to get started, So if I could also be like a Kevin Smith cult indie filmmaker, have a cult following, that'd be cool too. I'd take that. But besides that, I'm just every day I'm just trying to figure it out, just like a lot of people. And I'm surprised I've done a lot. Sometimes I have to, remind myself like, hey man, you can take a day and just watch TV, because I actually stress myself out if I'm not doing any busy work. And my buddies and everyone's like, dude, just play a game or something. Like, you don't need to constantly be on your computer. You don't, So, like, I'm figuring it out. I'm having a lot of fun. And it's my own saving grace at the same time to keep doing this. But I definitely want to be someone that can help someone else out. So that's kind of my end game, ambitious plan.
I just love that. I think selfishly, I think about myself in older age, thinking they're having no idea where to go to meet other creatives that are interested in doing this type of stuff, who can train people like me, who, even though I'm in really serious topics in my PhD program, I'm using creative methods to do it, but I have no training in it whatsoever, and you don't necessarily get the training in it in university unless you're in those programs. And I think that's a brilliant idea. I would love to have a space where even people like me, in the age that I am, can go and learn from people like you. So I love that idea. And you're right. I mean, I think a lot of people, especially creatives, don't have spaces to talk openly with one another even. So I don't know where you get all these ideas, but like, whoever taught you this, let me give a shout out to, because like, it's brilliant. So all right, so we've got about 7 more minutes left, and I just wonder if you came, if we can talk a little bit about Knoxville and the community and its influence on you, because you, in your write-up, you talked a lot about how you want to give back to the community, and you are doing that now. I think a lot of creatives don't necessarily think about their work as giving back to the community. I think that there's this feeling that like I'm doing something I really love and it feels too fun, and it feels like there's a little bit of guilt there that says I'm not really being part of the community, but you absolutely are. And you touched on that. I don't know if maybe you can talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. And that's actually one thing that kind of I had a realization recently, because I ran into the family of Covalence, one of the bands I worked with last year. And yeah, so I ran into the family at Open Chord one night, and they just came up to me and they were like so thankful and so happy, inspired. Like, I mean, they're just gleaming with joy as far as the music video for Burn I did. And it just like, they were just talking to me so much about how like it's the best, one of the best things they've ever done, the coolest things they've ever done. It inspired them to do, keep going with a lot of different things. And And, and they were like, we don't want to work with anyone else but you, and I just get a lot of that feedback as far as, like, I guess my methods are really connecting more with people and making sure that we're having fun and also expressing each other's passions. And, like, because with music videos, it's like I'm passionate about doing what I'm doing, you're passionate about what you're doing, but let my passion fuel yours, and, hopefully I can get your vision out there and we can just love it together, and same thing with my film sets. I've had people just tell me that I've just had the most comfortable and fun and engaging film set, and there's no pressure or stress, anything like that. And hearing that stuff really does kind of bring it all back in circle. Like, it's like, okay, maybe I am doing something that's bigger than myself, because I know I'm doing something for myself in a way, but I also know I'm trying to aim that for people as well. And hearing that it's working with the people I've worked with, and telling them that they're inspired, or they're telling me that they're inspired, or that they don't want to work with anyone else but me, or just like it's helped them get something else out of it. I just think that's just, it's super cool. It's very, very humbling and just inspiring for me to be like, okay, that makes me want to do more for it makes me want to do more for people, and hopefully keep providing that outlet for others and getting that same experience. And I just hope I can do that on a multitude of levels, and keep getting bigger and bigger with that. And just knowing that I can maybe set up events or productions or anything with community here in Knoxville or in Philly or wherever I'm at, like, and just having people come together and have a good time, express themselves, and hopefully have something that's everlasting, for life now. I think that's the only thing I could ask for. It's super cool. So. That's super cool.
All right. In the last few minutes, tell folks you're going to be at the Knoxville Horror Festival in 2 weeks. What film is that's playing?
It is Happy Mother's Day, our brand new film, inspired by 70s and 80s horror, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Shining. It is a sequel to Cindy's Birthday Party as well, but it'll be premiering at the Knoxville Horror Film Festival 2 weeks from today. But then you can find me next weekend over at the Conapalooza Comic Convention in the Tri-City area. But if you can't catch the Horror Film Festival, it will be online right after. I like to have my stuff online so people can enjoy it and watch it. I know everyone that I worked with on that production is just dying to watch it, and I'm like, just wait.
I've been following the photos. I have to say, I've been like following the photos. My sister, just so you know, if she's listening, will be over the moon because she loves horror film, loves it. I don't know where she got that in our family. I have no idea, but she is going to love every minute of it. So I've been telling her, she's back in the background watching all of this. So anyway, all right. And one more time to tell folks how they can find out more information about you.
You can find me on Facebook, August Aguilar. You can find Strange Films on Facebook, facebook.com/strangefilmsnow. Instagram at august.aguilar. Also at strangefilms_. And then YouTube, Strange Films and August Aguilar. Look for that logo. It's purple and red colors, Strange Films. We've got a cool banner that's got a bunch of our characters on it. We would... Any support we ever get is just truly appreciated.
All right. So, and I also want to say you can also find all this information out on my pages. I'll direct you over to the proper. I will correct that. I will direct you to the proper pages for August, and that's at Knox Community Well Be. That's WELLBE, not well-being, but well-be. I even put well-being in my own thing today. Clearly, I was distracted. And also, you'll find this interview on the WOZORadio.com pages in the next day or so. August, thank you so much. It goes so fast, doesn't it? Yeah. It's like you don't believe an hour has passed. I was like 7 minutes ago, we were just talking about, but anyway, I just want to say thank you for being on my show. Come back anytime. Please, again, especially next time anytime. And it's just been a pleasure talking to you, honestly. I want to give a shout out to your dad because he liked the pages and shared them.
Yeah.
So Mr. Aguilar, thank you very much. All right, so we're going to close out. You've been listening to 103.9 FM WOZO. This is Anna. My very special guest this week is August Aguilar, founder and director of Strange Films, among many other things, El Burrito Blog, and comic books, all kinds of stuff. So, all right, folks, until next time.